Okay. So, all right, we're here to do Srimad Bhagavatam. We're a little small today. We are pretty much an in-ashram program, but we're missing Parth. So, this is good. No problem. So we have to, we have to read Bhagavatam. We've been doing this now. Now we've been in the 8th chapter, moving a little slower, but we just started Queen Kunti's prayers. The last verse we did was text 18. We're on 19 now. And Kunti said, "O Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you because you are the original personality and are unaffected by the qualities of the material world. You are existing both within and without everything, yet you are invisible to all." So who's Kunti? Kunti is Arjuna's mother and all of the Pandavas' mother. And she is a great and chaste devotee of the Lord. There might even be a Queen Kunti's prayers. You should look up if there is in that book. No, I think it would be somewhere in here, I would assume.
Yeah.
If it's not there, that's okay. Oh look, Queen Kunti invokes the sun god. All right, get Kunti up with the sun god then, no problem. So anyhow, she is a great devotee, an incredible devotee. And Prabhupada was commenting last class how this type of qualification of a devotee, we should all strive to be.
This is how she had the Pandavas, right?
Yes, this is how she, this is how she had Karna.
Oh.
So that's a whole nother thing. So this is Queen Kunti and the sun god here. When she was a young girl, a little, she used to serve her father. I think his name was Kaunteya. He was a great king. And in those times, rishis, time to time, powerful rishis would come and travel all across the world. So when they traveled, one time Durvasa Rishi, who was a great Muni, but he's well known, if you don't serve Durvasa Muni properly and he gets angry, you're in trouble. He'll curse you. Actually, this is something we always should strive to do. When there's a great personality, like this week we have Ramapad Swami coming. So if we don't do a very good job of serving nicely and making sure everything runs smoothly, all the programs, all the food stuff, everything is going on time and nicely, and if he gets angry, and chastises, this is actually, this we could look at this as a curse, Ultimately, all curses of saints become blessings, which is good. But at the bad level of that is it usually has to put us in a very difficult situation so we can realize how to really rectify ourselves. Like Nalakuvara and Manigriva having to be trees for millions of years because they insulted Narada Rishi in trying to enjoy women in front of him, naked, so on. So like this, I was just reading a pastime of Krishna with the Shankachuta demon, and before this demon was there, also in that chapter as well, there was a serpent who tried to swallow Nanda Maharaj, and how did he do it is, he was a demigod who was very beautiful, amazing looking demigod, but he laughed at some rishis because they were ugly. He said, "Oh, you rishi, look at me, got very prideful, very proud. Look at my position. Look what I can do. I know this, I know that. We can get very puffed up. And then as soon as you look upon someone the wrong way, and if they're a rishi, they're a saint, they'll curse you." So Durvasa was known for cursing. The littlest thing went wrong, Durvasa's going to curse you. There's a pastime in the Mahabharata, what a great problem it was. Duryodhana had schemed to have Durvasa go visit Yudhishthira in the forest at a certain time when he knew that he wouldn't be able to feed him. And lo and behold, Krishna had to save them from that great calamity that was coming them. But here, in this instance, Kunti served Durvasa so nicely that he gave her a boon. And he said that all you have to do is chant this mantra and you can summon any demigod that you want. So she didn't, she said, okay. But, she didn't really, understand the gravity of this. So what did she do? She actually chanted the sun god's mantra while looking at the rising sun one morning. And then lo and behold, here he is. He comes. But the problem is that, the demigod, upon being called, she didn't have anything for him to do. She was just testing the mantra. And so he's like, no, you must ask something. And she didn't want anything. So he actually, I guess, looked upon her very beautifully. And what did he want? And ultimately it was settled that she was to bear a child of his. And but he will do it in such a way that he'll preserve her virginity. I don't know how that works. I don't know. I mean, we see this in the modern Western world. We see Jesus Christ, Immaculate Conception, something like this. This is the Immaculate Conception far before that. But this is how Karna was born, who's one of the main antagonists of the Mahabharata. But unfortunately, there's a whole pastime of how Karna had to get estranged from Kunti and so on. But anyhow, Kunti is a great devotee. She's giving these prayers, and she is surrendered unto Krishna every step of the way. So, without further ado, she's offering her obeisances to Krishna. Let's hear what she has to say. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Om Namo
Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Chai, and let's chant our 3 Bhagavatam verses. Rayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudire. Alright.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer their respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva the author.
Chai. Shrinvatam Svagada Vishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Radyantasloya Bhadrani Vidya Tisaritatam.
Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma within everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses the heart of material enjoyment from the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous and properly heard and chanted.
It's the heart of material desires. Ashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavata Yutamashloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki.
By regular attendance on classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of God, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact.
Jai. So, let's do our Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, regular hearing of the Bhagavatam, regular hearing the words of the Bhagavats. That's why we're going to hear Prabhupada's purports. This is very, very important part of Bhagavatam, because we always could just read only the translations. But why? What is the benefit of the purport?
You get a much deeper understanding because you're reading the explanation from such a pure soul.
Yeah, and also deeper understanding. But also, let's just say, like, all right, well, I'm a pretty, good. I have a pretty good understanding of things. Let me just read. What's the problem? Yeah, it's actually that we don't have a really good understanding of things. We don't really have a good understanding of things. And we misinterpret, and we can make many mistakes. I did this with the Bhagavad Gita for years. I read the Bhagavad Gita 9 times before actually reading Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. And by the time I read Srila Prabhupada's Gita, it made so much sense, because, all right, this is the Sanskrit, it's translated out, you can check the words. But I was realizing I was just concocting it to mean what I wanted it to mean. And I was so foolish. I wanted it to mean that I could chase all my material desires, which is like the exact opposite of what Bhagavad Gita is preaching. And I had a Mayavadi interpretation where it's all about like reaching the self, and I thought I was the ultimate self, and I didn't realize, Krishna was speaking unto him, unto the Supreme Lord, that there was a different position between me and Krishna. That wasn't clear to me in my translation of the Bhagavad Gita for 9 years straight. I thought, maybe I'm Krishna. So it's very, very, very important that we hear it from a devotee, a pure devotee, or else we'll develop a type of worship which is considered abominable in the schools of worship, which is called a Hangrahopasana. And that's a Hangrahopasana could be done in multiple ways, but it's where you try and identify as the personality speaking, as like say like the speaker, the teacher. You try and I am that, like this Aham Brahmasmi taking to a new level. I am that enlightened soul. I just have to connect to myself. You see, this is so popular, so prevalent. So many different so-called spiritualists are teaching this. But you see, actually, what are their disciples and what are they themselves really doing that's so impressive? Really not much. Why? Because they are not actually learning from those who are really great. And they're not ultimately accepting the Supreme Lord's position as the ultimate great and being willing to serve the ultimate great. And that actually is how the real greatness comes. So anyway, like this, Srila Prabhupada's purports key, text 19. Maya javani kachchanam agyad hokshajam avyayam na lakshase mudhadrisha nato natyadaro yatha Maya deluding javanika curtain achanam covered by agya ignorant adhokshajam beyond the range of material conception or transcendental avyayam irreproachable na not lakshase observed mudhadrisha by the foolish observer nata artist natyadara dressed as a player yatha as. Okay, so she's offering our obeisances unto Krishna. You're the original personality and are unaffected by the qualities of the material world. You are existing both within and without everything, yet you are invisible to all. And then she says, being beyond the range of limited sense perception, you are the eternally irreproachable factor covered by the curtain of deluding energy. What's irreproachable mean?
You're not able to go towards.
No, that's approachable. Irreproachable. I can check the definition. That's approach, but reproach. Irreproachable. So reproach actually it means to to criticize or to look unfavorably upon. So I'll double check, but that's what I believe it means. Yeah, address someone in such a way as to express disapproval or disappointment. So he's actually irreproachable. I've seen this. Actually, one of this Rajneesh I've seen. This was something he would do. He would reproach Krishna and how Krishna acts, and this is very, very not a good idea. And actually, you saw how the government turned against him, and he left his body in a crazy way. Anyhow, do not reproach Krishna. He's irreproachable, actually. Every way he acts is perfect. This is what the meaning of irreproachable is. Everything he does is perfect. We need to learn to see that. That's so anyway, she's saying you're the eternally irreproachable factor covered by the curtain of deluding energy. What's the curtain of deluding energy? Maya, yes. This is the delusion of ignorance that covers the soul. We could approach, everything is nothing but Krishna. He's within and without everything. We could approach it, but what is actually hiding that? There's a curtain over our consciousness. And this is Maya. And Krishna actually, he is the source of Maya. He's the one putting the curtain there. Why? Well, that's a great mystery, actually. But it's ultimately to facilitate Krishna's Leela. What's the purpose of existence? Vedanta states this. For the Leela of Bhagavan. Because actually, let's say if Duryodhana and all these, and Kamsa and all these great demons weren't in the curtain of Maya, What type of good, interesting, wonderful pastimes would there be? If Indra wasn't in Maya, how could Krishna perform the Govardhan Leela? No, everyone would just be bowing to the Lord all the time, and it would be a bit boring actually. So there's a reason. But just like when you watch a movie, you want to identify with the good guy's side, right? You want to identify with the hero. You don't want to identify with the antagonist. Some people do. They identify with the antagonist. But, when you watch a movie, you want to identify with the hero, the heroic side. So similarly, in the pastimes of Bhagavan, you want to get on his side, get on the devotee side. So anyhow, you are invisible to the foolish observer, exactly as an actor dressed as a player is not recognized. So he's invisible to the foolish observer. Just like an actor dresses like an actor on a play, he's not recognized. Like for instance, I don't know. A lot of times we do recognize actors, right? Like, oh, that's that actor. But they take a character and you identify with the character. Like if you watch a movie, right? That's the... I don't know. Like for one instance, there's a handsome American actor named Gerard Butler. You've heard of this actor? Anyways, he's a handsome guy, and he there was one movie he was in called like The Gladiator. Or was that Russell Crowe? I don't remember now.
Russell Crowe was Gladiator.
Oh, Russell Crowe was Gladiator?
Yeah.
Oh, Gerard Butler was what's this one? This is Sparta, the 300 one.
Yes.
Yes. So, but when you like watch the movie, you just identify them. That's Leonidas right there, and in the character in the movie, it becomes very prevalent, and you're not, actually recognizing them. So this is similarly how the Lord is acting in the world. He's acting, but you can't recognize who he is. Only very few people are privy to that knowledge. But Kunti is one of these people. So she's stating this right now. Now, purport by Prabhupada is, in the it's a long one. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Sri Krishna affirms that less intelligent persons mistake him to be an ordinary man like us. And thus they deride him. They reproach him. The same is confirmed herein by Queen Kunti. The less intelligent persons are those who rebel against the authority of the Lord. Such persons are known as asuras, or demons. The asuras cannot recognize the Lord's authority. When the Lord himself appears amongst us as Ram, Nrsimha, Varaha, or in his original form as Krishna, he performs many wonderful acts which are humanly impossible. As we shall find in the 10th canto of this great literature, Lord Sri Krishna exhibited his humanly impossible activities even from the days of his lying on the lap of his mother. He killed the Putana witch. Although she smeared her breast with poison just to kill the Lord sucked her breast like a natural baby, and he sucked out her very life also. Similarly, he lifted the Govardhan hill just as a boy picks up a frog's umbrella, which is a mushroom. I think that's very cute that Prabhupada called a frog's umbrella. So anyway, and stood several days continuously just to give protection to the residents of Vrindavan. These are some of the superhuman activities of the Lord described in the authoritative Vedic literatures like the Puranas, the Itihasas, or the histories, and Upanishads. He has delivered wonderful instructions in the shape of the Bhagavad Gita. He has shown marvelous capacities as a hero, as a householder, as a teacher, and as a renouncer. He is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by such authoritative personalities as Vyas, Devala, Asita, Narada, Madhava, Shankara, Ramanuja, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, who's Prabhupada's guru, and all the other authorities of the line. He himself has declared as much in many places of the authentic literatures, and yet there is a class of men with demoniac mentality who are always reluctant or hesitant to accept the Lord as the supreme absolute truth. This is partially due to their poor fund of knowledge and partially due to their stubborn obstinacy. Obstinacy is, I think, like... I'm not sure. I think it's like... stubborn. Obstinacy or obstinate is kind of like arrogant, I think. Yeah, refusing to change one's opinion or chosen course of action. Actually, this is an important word because we actually have this tendency to be so obstinate nothing one of the boys I know, he loves to explain things so much explanation is there. But one of the reasons why the explanation is actually there is because one always has the desire to be right. No, I'm justified in what I did. I should have done that thing. We're obstinate, actually. That's really where it's coming from. It's obstinacy. No, I could not, never me, I'm not wrong. But actually, this is not the truth, actually. And if we hold that mentality, we'll actually go against the Lord. Because the Lord will declare what is right. And it's absolute. Beyond reproach. And yet we're so obstinate. No, I evaluated that perfectly. We have this mentality. This has to be checked, actually. We should be humble. Oh, wait. Maybe, all right, let's double check. Let me see, even imagine I was, reproach means this, and I just whatever my mind comes to. No, let's actually check. Let's take the humble position. Maybe I'm wrong. We should always consider like that. We should always check with Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. Not be obstinate. What do you guys think? Good? Okay. So like this. This is partially due to their poor fund of knowledge and partially due to their stubborn obstinacy, which results from various misdeeds in the past and present. Such persons could not recognize Lord Sri Krishna even when he was present before them. Another difficulty is that those who depend more on their imperfect senses cannot realize him as the Supreme Lord. So this is what we do. This is why we're obstinate. We depend on our senses and no, I interpreted it like this. I swear I saw that. I heard this. But actually they're imperfect. We were talking about reproach and you guys I've heard that before. That means to go towards something. But no, reproach, but the imperfect senses, it's not actually taking it in. Right? So we experience all of life like this. So anyhow, this is something we have to, the devotee always wants to check with the Shastra in which the Lord speaks, Guru and Sadhu, and then also one's own personal experience with the Lord is also present there, but through those three mediums. So anyhow, okay, where are we? Depend more on their imperfect senses, cannot realize him as the Supreme Lord. Such persons are like the modern scientist. They want to know everything by their experimental knowledge. They want to be able to measure everything with their senses. Impossible. He's achyuta. No, that means infallible. He's achintya. Means inconceivable. Meaning the mind, the senses cannot wrap itself around the Lord. Only by his mercy, by his grace, can we even perceive the Lord. So like this. They want to know everything by their experimental knowledge. But it is not possible to know the Supreme Person by imperfect experimental knowledge. He is described herein as adhokshaja, or beyond the range of experimental knowledge. That's the word I was looking for. All our senses are imperfect. We claim to observe everything and anything, but we must admit that we can observe things under certain material conditions only, which are also beyond our control. I always give that analogy. You probably heard it 20 times now from me. But we're observing, the modern scientists have proven, we're observing 0%, practically speaking, approaching 0% of the sound and light spectrum. And yet we're so confident in what we see and what we hear. But actually it's 0% of reality. This is the nature of the Lord. So we can only observe things under certain material conditions only, which are beyond our control. The Lord is beyond the observation of sense perception. Queen Kunti accepts this deficiency of the conditioned soul, especially of the woman class, who are less intelligent. For less intelligent men, there must be such things as temples, mosques, or churches, so that they may begin to recognize the authority of the Lord and hear about him from authorities in such holy places. For less intelligent men, this beginning of spiritual life is essential, and only foolish men decry. I think that means similar to reproach, but let me just double check. Publicly denounce, yes. It's like reproaching, to criticize.
Yeah.
So anyhow, so they publicly decry. Where am I?
Such the establishment of third last line.
For less intelligent, yes, foolish men decry the establishment of such places of worship, which are required to raise the standard of spiritual attributes for the mass of people. For less intelligent persons, bowing down before the authority of the Lord, as generally done in the temples, mosques, or churches, is as beneficial as it is for the advanced devotees to meditate upon him by active service. So he says some really interesting things here.
Strong, very strong words.
Yes. So very strong purport.
Yeah.
So the less one, he's mentioning the conditioned souls. We have the deficiency. He does mention especially of the women class tend to be a bit more emotional. There was a really interesting exchange we had between one of our young boys and young girls the other day. And one of the boys, he was approaching from the logical side of a situation, and one of the girls was approaching from a more sentimental side of the situation. And I was joking, and he's like, "Why won't you just use logic?" And I just quipped, "Oh, you cannot expect. That's not how the girls like to operate. They're more actually emotional beings." So, not to say that actually they're emotionally very intelligent. They have the capacity, actually. That's why all the greatest devotees, and just before you, wait, is Prabhupada sexist? Are we sexist? No, actually, all of the highest aspirations of the great devotees is to actually serve the Lord. Yes, to serve the Lord as really a female servant. Because the female nature has the highest mood that's most pleasing to the Lord. So first of all, that should be understood. But to that being said, women throughout history were always seen as more simple, less intelligent in a certain way. I mean, traditionally, historically, women didn't even start going into the education system until maybe 100 years ago, something like that. Why? Because there's so much to do in being. There used to be defined roles in society. The women were more naturally geared towards bearing children. As you guys can see, my hint. I don't know who is looking. My wife's belly is growing. What's that mean? She's actually building a baby in there. Yes. Oh, good. And also. Yeah, but her body is actually fit to care for it and has the emotional capacity to care for it. That, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to be able to handle it just like she is. I'm not. I know it already. I see it already. And she's marveling. She's like, "You don't even care." I'm like, "What do you mean? I'm just busy doing my thing. Your belly's growing. That's fine." But she's already sensing that there's a person in there that needs to be cared for and loved and give attention to. She's already sensing that. I'm not sensing it really at all, other than her belly's getting bigger. I'm not, it's not really happening too much in my consciousness. Every once in a while he kicks my hand or something. But it's not, it's not much happening in I haven't really realized much. But this is the women have this really deep emotional strength that we don't have. Or I should say, those in the men body, exhibiting more masculine energies, they're usually not aware of. So anyhow, one of those things, though, that part of the masculine energy is rationality, logic, being able to draw conclusions and problem solve and derive solutions. This is actually... This is one of the strengths of a man. We have a strong physical body, often, or usually stronger, usually. And this is general. This is a general thing. There's plenty of rules and exceptions. I sent a video of my wife, of some pregnant woman, who was like deadlift or cleaning like a crazy amount of weight last night. I was like, oh my god, like it was like kind of really disturbing to watch actually. But anyhow, like this, there are totally exceptions to all kinds of these rules, right? And there's brilliant women as well, and there's so many stupid men. I mean, actually, Kali Yuga, he says there's many right here. There's many less intelligent men, but ultimately, these are the natural strengths. Just like if you have a pickup truck, it will do a lot of certain things, for doing duties better than a minivan or better than a sports car. If you want to go somewhere fast, get in the sports car. If you want to be able to carry a certain amount of luggage and this, that, and the other, you better get in maybe a cargo van or a pickup truck or something like that. So each body has its own role. So anyway, sorry to talk so much, but this should be explained before I get in trouble from either downstairs or, someone watching. This is not keen. This is not politically correct at all. But the truth is not politically correct. That's just the truth. There is a truth.
There's a line I like.
What?
Facts don't care about feelings.
Yes. Facts don't care about feelings, but we also have to be sympathetic because most people don't care about facts. They only care about feelings. So you have to tread very lightly. And so there's an austerity of speech mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. That which is truthful, that which is pleasing, and that which is necessary. We should try and always filter out those things. We have to speak the truth, the facts, but in a way that it's pleasing because people have very delicate feelings. And it's also necessary. It's necessary for them to hear it. It's helpful for them. So these are the three qualifications. So this is austerity of speech in the mode of goodness. So this is in Bhagavad Gita, I think 17th chapter. Anyhow. But he's also talking about the necessity. Also, we do it also, in the temple. Here, what do we do every time, the curtain opens in the temple? What's the first thing we do? We bow down. Why? Because this is a ritual that's helpful for us, because what we really should always be doing is taking this humble position. I'm very small before you, Lord. So this helps us. So he's saying for less intelligent men, this is why the temples, the churches, the mosques, this is the function of this place. Actually, what's that?
To dissolve your ego.
Yes, to subjugate the false ego. To bring it under control, to give it a system of getting used to bowing down to the absolute truth. Because the truth is we're infinitesimal. It means we're infinitely small. But yes, in our my father always used to tell me something. You're a legend in your own mind, Ron. He used to tell me that like growing up. Because I was, I had fabricated my greatness in so many different ways. And we tend to do this. This is why we become obstinate. Is because we think we're...
What you used to do.
What's that?
I wonder what you used to do and say.
Oh, many things. You can ask him. He can tell you so many stories. My mother, anyway. I remember I told you guys the night before I got arrested. My mother really, she came to me like a little bit more, humble than usual. She's like, you really should stop this. Like like, 'cause I was dealing with all these herbs in such a way that the law would not like it. I won't go into detail, not to incriminate myself online or anything. But anyway, she was really telling me you should stop this. You should not do this anymore. This is not good. And I was so obstinate and I was so, prideful. I was like, no, I've got this all figured out. If this happens, I can just do this. If this happens, I can do this. And I was like, I'm too smart for them to catch me. I literally told her that. I literally told her, I'm too smart for them to catch me. I just started Krishna consciousness, actually. You think I wasn't very advanced. But anyhow, I'm too smart for them to catch me. I told her that with all conviction. And the next day I got humbled. The next day I had to admit that I could not have predicted what happened to me. Because I couldn't. We think, I know another boy I know who got himself into some credit difficulty, also had that similar prediction. Yes, I'll be able to figure this out. Yeah, no problem. But then it doesn't ever work out how we think it works out. And we have to be humbled. So like this, the rules and regulations you get in a temple, a church, a mosque, that's what it's there for. To properly set the mood that we can humble ourselves before the Lord and recognize the Lord's greatness and our infinitesimalness. And this naturally will breed humility. This is what we need. So anyhow, these are some concepts here. Kunti is mentioning this. This was a really deep verse. And a really deep purport. Let's see if we can read at least one more. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So now we have to also glorify the gurus. So we may not have time, but we'll see. Om Jnana-Timirattasya Jnananjana-Shalakaya Chakshurun-Militam Yena Tasmai Shri-Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Vaishnavancha Shri Rupam Savajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanditam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhami Sute Devi Pranamami Niripriye Panchakalpatarubhishcha Virvasya Devacha Patitanam Bhavanyo Vaishnavya Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai. Yes. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi. Mani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtya Eshatarine. Jai. All right. So, let's keep reading. Text 20. Tatha Paramahamsanam Muninam Amalatmanam Bhakti Yoga Vidanartham Katham Pashyena Histriyaha Tatha. Besides that, Paramahamsanam, of the advanced transcendentalists, Muninam, of the great philosophers or mental speculators, Amala Atmanam, those whose minds are competent to discern between spirit and matter.
Those whose minds are competent to discern between spirit and matter.
Bhakti Yoga,
Bhakti Yoga,
the science of devotional service.
science of devotion.
Vidana Artham,
Vidana Artham,
for executing.
for executing.
Katham,
Katham,
how.
how.
Pashyema,
Pashyema,
can observe.
observe.
He,
He,
certainly.
certainly.
Striyaha,
Striyaha,
women.
women.
Translation. You yourself descend. Oh man, it's just going to be a tough day, huh? You yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service unto the hearts of the advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators, who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. How then can we women know you perfectly? So you yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service unto the hearts of the advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. How then can we women know you perfectly? Prabhupada says, even the greatest philosophical speculators cannot have access to the region of the Lord. It is said in the Upanishads that the supreme truth, the absolute personality of Godhead, is beyond the range of the thinking power of the greatest philosopher. It's interesting. You ever heard of this philosopher, German, Friedrich Nietzsche? Nietzsche? Yes, right. You've heard of him? He jokes that he didn't believe in God, but if there was a God who exists, yes, I would.
The book.
Yes, I would like there to be a God who dances. So actually, there's this nice book we're reading called "The God Who Dances," and this is actually he was a great philosopher.
One of the best.
Yes, but ultimately, because if they want me to believe in their God, they'll have to sing me better songs. I could only believe in a God who dances. These are some of Friedrich Nietzsche's quotes. But actually, because, Friedrich Nietzsche was of the foolish, class who was relying completely on what their own senses can actually achieve. He never had the great humility of understanding that actually all of my great thinking power is still 0% of reality. This is the most intelligent understanding. So it forces you into humility. But all these great philosophers and Einsteins and this and that and the other, they're so prideful in their meager knowledge that they can never actually understand their infinitesimal nature. Very important. That's why all the great devotees, this is why Jesus recommends humility and meekness. How blessed someone is to have these qualities. So actually Kunti is showing this. How then can we women know you perfectly? I'm just a simple woman. How can I know you perfectly? But of course she can actually know him perfectly, beyond all the great mental speculators, and even, maybe not beyond the advanced transcendentalists, but who know how to discriminate between matter and spirit, like Narada Muni. But actually, believe it or not, she might even be on a higher devotional platform than Narada Muni. The Lord interacts with her with even more affection than even someone like Narada Muni. So this is actually, a quality of a great devotee, how humble they are. So anyway, it's said in the Upanishads that the supreme truth, the absolute personality of Godhead, is beyond the range of the thinking power of the greatest philosopher. He is unknowable by great learning or by the greatest brain. You're not gonna... did we end
No.
the book?
No.
Oh, okay. So, I'm wondering. Okay, he is knowable only by one who has his mercy. Only way. Others may go on thinking about him for years together, yet he is unknowable. This very fact is corroborated, or I believe that means confirmed, but you could look up the word corroborate. To confirm or give support to. This very fact is corroborated by the queen, who is playing the part of an innocent woman. Women in general are unable to speculate like philosophers, but they are blessed by the Lord because they believe at once in the superiority and almightiness of the Lord, and thus they offer obeisances without reservation. I can tell you one thing. I've gone to India a few times, and one of the things I've observed in India is even when a lot of times a lot of the men in the family, they're not concerned with devotional activities at all, but the women are always so strong. You ride on a bus in India, all of a sudden the women there, they just want to start singing bhajans. It's just like, sometimes I'm getting annoyed. It's like, I just want to chant my rounds, but they're like so happy to sing the bhajans, and you're just like, all right, this is very sweet. This is actually this is actually why women, that's why all our acharyas, ultimately the highest striving goal is to be able to approach the Lord like a woman can approach. So like this, actually, women are, maybe all kinds of scientific rationalities and using the brain in all kinds of complex ways and using the body in all kinds of strength problem-solving ways isn't necessarily their specialty, but they have a devotional specialty that men definitely don't have. So like this, actually. So he's saying women in general are unable to speculate like philosophers, but they are blessed by the Lord because they believe at once in the superiority and almightiness of the Lord. They're humble, naturally. And thus they offer obeisances without reservation. The Lord is so kind that he does not show special favor only to one who is a great philosopher. He will show special favor to a great philosopher. But he knows the sincerity of purpose. For this reason only, women generally assemble in great number in any sort of religious function. In every country and in every sect of religion, it appears that the women are more interested than the men. This simplicity of acceptance of the Lord's authority is more effective than showy, insincere religious fervor. So these are some strong words. I'm glad Prabhupada actually did me a favor in the purport, because I thought, like, man, am I going to have to, try and explain all this?
That is why you need a guru.
What?
Who can make sense for you from the translations.
Yes, exactly, because you could really misunderstand this. So fervor is intense and passionate feelings. So the simplicity of acceptance of the Lord's authority is more effective than showy, insincere religious fervor. We can have this tendency. We can, make a show of our religious life. Oh, look at my shlokas I know now. Oh, look at this I know how to do. And, look at this complex offering or this complex thing I can do. I can do artis now. Look at how I wave look at how I... So, but actually it's the feeling. It's the feeling. It's the bhakti. Krishna is accepting our bhakti. It doesn't care what kind of ingredients you get. Oh, does he want the finest organic thing from the store? Does he want this finest thing or that finest thing? No, he wants your bhakti. He wants your love. And so, ultimately, devotees are simple. This is simple living and high thinking. A lot of times we can get so complex and showy and insincere. But actually women by nature don't do this. This isn't their actual nature. They're much more humble, much more simple. And actually, this is why, all the topmost devotees of the Lord, it's proclaimed they're all women. Actually, there's a subsection of the spiritual abode where only the Lord is the only male allowed to enter. And if you cannot enter unless you're in a woman's form, in a woman's body. There's no entrance there. Even Lord Shiva, he wanted to enter there, and he did enter there. But he had to take a woman's form. There's a very famous temple like this in Vrindavan. It's called Gopishwar Mahadev. Very nice pastime. But it's like this. There's we actually, as men, we should learn from the women. And to cultivate some of the devotional sentiments as the women do. Yes, we also have roles to also protect them as well, as husbands, as fathers, as brothers, sons. But at the same time, we should understand, that actually the highest devotional achievements can and will be done by the women. And then maybe, if we're so fortunate, we'll be a woman if we want to really serve the Lord in such a way. So anyhow, I will end here. It's 9:08 right now. Very good. We don't have such a difficult day today. Well, I'll talk about that after I log off. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Please forgive any mistakes or me over speaking or saying things incorrectly. But yeah, we'll see you guys soon.